Rob, you've qualified for the last 16, but now the job is let's make it a home place.
100%. I mean, the gravity of the game is something we've talked about a bit with the players already. For them, it's a massive opportunity to take control of the elements of the competition, because you get a home last 16. That's obviously a huge advantage. From a club point of view, it's obviously a massive financial boost as well. And also, obviously, what you do is by giving yourself a better chance to progress to the quarterfinals, there is still an opportunity, depending on how pools pan out, that you could end up being a home quarterfinalist as well, which obviously is huge. So the more we can take control of the scenario for ourselves, the better off we'll be. That's going to be a really important thing for us to try and drive and make sure it happens. And I'm really excited by it. I think the players look well rested, and we haven't been able to do too much since we got back from South Africa, but they've been saying and talking and doing the right things as a group. They were very much like that in South Africa, and I'm expecting that to continue this week.
Reflect on the South Africa trip. You knew it was going to be tough. It got tougher with Slady's red card, but overall there was a lot of positives to come out of it, including that bonus point.
The key when we left England was to come back with a point. That was almost. We didn't obviously talk at length to the players about it, because they had enough to focus on about getting the prep right, getting used to the altitude and the heat, and we were very open with them about that and what it would feel like. Then we managed to shut that kind of down and focus on ourselves by game day. And I thought the players did fantastically well. We were competitive all the way through it. And if you look at a lot of teams who've been over there recently from Europe, they're out of the game by 20 minutes. And the game is over. We certainly didn't allow that to happen. And if you actually think of some big momentum, I think the game was only almost like a one-score game when the referee changed. And actually, we're in possession of the ball in our 22. When the referee blows his whistle, we restart with a scrum where we get penalised. They're in the corner and they score a try. The actual shift in momentum at that moment, that single moment, let alone then the red card just a couple of minutes later, we did have some key momentum shifts go against us when the game was fairly tight. And then you saw in the last 20 minutes how actually we were the team who was coming through fitness-wise, carry strength-wise, pulling the game together. And that's why I think there was probably more in the game than we maybe even realised. But the minimum was we got a point with 14 men. And I think that shows a fantastic amount of fighting spirit, and it's got the guys to have this game, have our future in our hands, so to speak, at least in the next round. And we've got to grasp that. We've traditionally been good in these scenarios, and we've got to decide to grasp that again.
In a lot of ways, it was good for bonding and getting your squad together and close. We saw that throughout the whole week, wasn't it?
Yes.
That they were able to train hard, but equally enjoy their own company. And you talk a lot about that.
Definitely. I mean, I thought the senior players were fantastic. They pulled it together. They pulled it together like a mini tour party. Jack Noel was brilliant how he led in so many ways. We had the youngest player on the tour having to look after a baby. When I say a baby, like a doll, obviously. For the whole trip, there was some fines at the end of it. They were doing some stories and some jokes and some tour guide stuff on the training trips. It was good. There was some good old school bonding stuff happening. We went out for a group meal early in the week. The guys were allowed to have a beer and a glass of wine and just chill out and just get on and enjoy themselves. And we did a lot of things, like I said, we did a lot of things pretty well. And I think that was the key. The key was to get the right balance between the two. And I think that showed by the end in that we were a strong group in some challenging circumstances. And that's what we've got to show again.
The table will say Castres have no points, but you'll know from past experience, a French side coming here with nothing to lose are dangerous.
It's almost a nightmare scenario compared to them having still a little toe in the competition. Because as you say, literally, they can have this week's training, they can select how they want in an attacking way, they can decide to run from their 22, they can chip and chase, they can throw offloads, and we're going to have to deal with that because they're playing in that zero pressure scenario, which is very difficult to contain sometimes, especially with good players. So we've got to get our heads around that element, and the way you mainly do with that is just by being tough. If you decide to be tough, you decide to get your set piece right and your defence right, you can make a weakness in the opposition, and we've got to decide to do that. And that's all we can really focus on this week is ourselves. We can't predict the selection from Castres. We can't predict their game plan, but we can decide on how we're going to be, the qualities we're going to use ourselves, and that's really all we're talking about this week.
What did you learn from the game over there?
Well, they went after the breakdown hard, particularly early on, but we did very well set piece wise and defence wise, so and discipline on the whole. And the one thing we didn't do is that when they won a couple of turnovers at breakdown, we didn't stop playing, because the key is you have to keep playing, because you have to keep playing to create the moments in the game when you can score and you start to get them on the back foot. So we did that really well, and that's going to be important this week, because they'll go after the breakdown hard. I think they're one of the top breakdown winning teams in their competition, and we've got to make sure we get our clear out right, our carrying right, clear out right. Obviously set piece is always important, and then defence and discipline is what will allow us to build pressure. So we've got most of these elements, you know, we've talked through them. I think we understand them pretty well, and just now is the time to execute.
Finally, team news wise, we saw Jack Yendall go off. Henry had a red card, which we now know has been cleared. How are things?
On the whole, pretty good. We didn't pick up anything significant other than Jack Yendall. We'll obviously look after him really well. We're not going to be. He's not in training. He's not back in training. He's not started his return to play protocols yet. We'll wait until he's 100. You know, we probably will wait beyond him feeling clear, just to be doubly sure, because the reality was he was still a bit dazed and groggy post game. He was pretty good the day after and pretty clear, and he was cleared to fly. And we were at one stage we were even thinking of delaying flying him home just to be doubly sure. But he got all the clearances to get home, which was obviously great for him. Now we're not going to rush the process. We'll make sure that from day one he's back in. He's spot on. After this game and next week, there's a chance for him to have an extended break. So we may well even use that opportunity to fully clear him through. But we'll judge Jack day by day. The challenge will be Jack, because he'll want to be back in here training as soon as possible. But outside of him, we got a pretty clean bill of health, and we're pretty much ready to go.
And Slady cleared is a big boost for you.
Slady clear is good. To be fair, the process yesterday was pretty straightforward. I thought both EPCR and our own representative got together really, really well, and were very much in agreement as to what had happened. I think at the same time, I think everyone, including the panel, appreciated the ref was in a difficult scenario. It's always difficult when you get called, kind of out of the grandstand. You've got to put a whole new set of comms on, and then, within 2 minutes you're making a big decision on a potential high tackle. And I think anyone watching could tell the comms between the TMO and the ref all got a bit muddled. They didn't quite pick up on each other's body language and some of the trigger words that they were using to try and, see that wasn't a red card. And once it got a bit befuddled, then the incorrect outcome happened. And I think everyone realised it was a challenging scenario for everybody, and it was one of those scenarios where you come out of the disciplinary process and go, well, it was well dealt with, and I think everyone involved would say that.